Live from the Glasgow Electric Plant Board, Glasgow Wants to Know. With your host, Mr. Uhel Barrickman.
Welcome to another in a series of Glasgow Wants to Know. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Glasgow B&PW, the Business and Women's Professional Club. To discuss the club and to enlighten us about its history, its purposes, what it has accomplished for this community, and what is expected for it to do in the future, we have three ladies. The first that I will introduce is Mrs. Earl Golda Walbert, who is former supervisor of education for the Barron County District. She's a part-time retiree and teaches part-time now at Western on the Glasgow campus. Next we have Mrs. Melanie, or Mrs. R.P. Melanie Watson, who is a CPA and works at the Glasgow Community Hospital. And last but certainly not least, we have Mrs. William Taylor Goodman, Mona, who is a supervisor of educational instruction at the Glasgow City System. We will start with you, Mrs. Goodman, and ask, is there a national B&PW organization with which the local club is affiliated?
There is, Uhel, and first of all, we want to thank you for the opportunity to be on Glasgow Wants to Know. BPW thinks this is a wonderful privilege for us to be able to share some information, and certainly the program provides a good service to the community and adds to the media that's available. We are affiliated with the national organization. As a matter of fact, our national organization came first. Back in 1917, there was a world war going on, and President Wilson decided that the war could be prolonged by forces overseas, and if so, it was going to be necessary for someone to take up the work-related areas within the country in the absence of the men who were fighting the war. And so he had established a thing called a War Work Council, and its purpose was to organize the women who were certainly a minority at the time, but those who were working and were within the professions, and ask those women to stand prepared to take up the work issues and the work causes throughout the United States if the war was prolonged.
What are the eligibility requirements?
The organization, right, the organization is open to all individuals. Although originally established as a women's organization, it's open to all individuals. It's not discriminatory, who support the causes that we represent, and that basically means they believe in equity and equality for working people throughout the United States.
And when was the Glasgow B&PW organized?
We were organized in 1955.
What occasion specifically, if there was a specific occasion that brought about the organization, and who were the leaders in organizing it at that time?
Well, I'm going to ask Golda to respond to that one, if she would please, because she knows something about that and was involved a little bit in the early days.
Well, now she's also indicating, Golda, that you are the senior of this group, and I think that's got something to do with the fact that this being passed to you.
It might very well be, Uhel. I was not here until the second president was elected, but we were new then, and we were talking about the things that had happened. The Chamber of Commerce wanted us to organize a business and professional women's club. I think they saw the benefit of having women to cooperate and work with them. Norma Redford was attending business college, I believe, in Bowling Green, and one of the state officials was there at the time, and she set the wheels to rolling. We met, I think, with Beulah Nunn, and at that time, Beulah became the first president that we had. That was about 12, 14 months before I came to Glasgow. And one of the things that gave me immediate name recognition, I think, as a young professional in this area was to be asked and to join the Business and Professional Women's Club. It's one of my favorite activities, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Can one of you, and I don't know which one would want to take this one, but can one of you give some idea about the similarities between the B&PW clubs and, say, Altrusa and Rotary and so forth, and also the contrast? Which one of you wants to address that?
Well, I'll address that, Uhel. It's interesting, our state federation, when it was formed in 1928, was organized by 5 women who met at the Sealback Hotel in Louisville. And one of the organizing clubs at that time for the state federation was the Altrusa Club of Louisville. So we had some early roots together. Altrusa's focus is more strictly related to civic participation and to service, whereas BPW certainly believes in community service and participation in and involvement in the community. BPW's focus had a wider focus of promoting the interest of business women and in developing women so that they could take greater leadership roles. That would be the big difference, I think, with some of the service groups within the community.
Does the B&PW Club have a district organization as well as a statewide organization and then a national organization? As for instance, I think Altrusa has districts and like a Rotary Club does, and then you have a national organization. Is there a similarity there?
You're right. We have our local organization, and then we have a regional organization. We used to call our regions districts, and we changed the name to regions a few years ago. Then the state organization, then the national organization, and then there is an international organization of business and professional women. And I have to say here, as Kentuckians, we can be very proud. One of the founders of the national organization in the War Work Council was a lady named Lena Madison Phillips. She was from Nicholasville, Kentucky. She was an unmarried lady who had attended law school and was unable to establish a practice in Kentucky. So she left Kentucky, went to New York City, established the national organization, came to Kentucky in 1928, helped set up the Kentucky organization, and was the founder of the International Federation of Business and Professional Women. So we do have a tiered organization like many of the other service clubs do.
Melanie, I understand you're the president-elect of the local group. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How many members do you presently have?
I think we currently have about 58 members.
Now, has that been relatively stable for the last 2 or 3 years, or are you growing?
Well, you might say that everything goes in a cycle, and certainly the membership of Glasgow B&PW has. Right now we are probably a smaller organization than we traditionally have been in the past. We have averaged, somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 65 members for the last couple of years. We see a great opportunity for growth. We know there's a lot of women out there that hopefully we could help serve their needs and interests, and we have shown in the past that we're able to do that.
Give me some idea of, well, first of all, let me back up. How often do you meet?
We meet once a month on the first Thursday evening of every month. Currently we are meeting at the Glasgow Country Club at 6:30. And at that meeting we have a program, and we also conduct our business. There are lots of other events that are scattered about, but that is the one time that we plan to get together each and every month.
Normally, what type program do you have? I'm sure it varies from month to month, but can you give me some examples?
When we look at BPW programming, we focus on 4 areas. We look at women in the workplace, we look at skills development, we look at political involvement, and also women's health. Now, while those are the 4 planks of the traditional BPW program platform, we also know that we have a lot of interest in community happenings, our local political affairs, and even our local history. One program that we had back during the summer let Glasgow BPW members have an early look at the new city building. Mayor Honeycutt came and spoke to us about the history of the old fort and the history of the community, and then we finish the evening off with a tour of the city building.
Obviously, you have committees. How many committees do you normally have?
I think there are 12 standing committees, and each committee serves, of course, a different function. Some of the most important committees would involve our membership that seeks to not only recruit new members, but to focus on the needs of our current members as well. We have a public relations committee which works with the newspapers and the local news media so that our folks can be aware of the happenings of Glasgow BPW. We have committees which work on foundation, committees which work with issues management, and issues management tries to gather all of the things that we want to address throughout the coming year and in a coordinated fashion so that we can have a program that will fill that need sometime throughout the calendar.
You touched briefly on a matter that was brought to my attention today in a questionnaire that I received, and I presume all members of the Chamber of Commerce received, asking for ideas and asking whether or not you agreed with certain questions that they had and so forth and so on. And one of them was whether or not there was adequate news media coverage of the Chamber of Commerce. Do you think that the B&PW gets adequate news or adequate media coverage?
I most certainly do. We have very good relationships with both of the community newspapers, and we have found them to be very cooperative in their coverage of our special events and our regular meetings. We also have a weekly column in the Glasgow Daily Times, so you can look for Starla Buckley's column every Sunday that addresses the happenings of Glasgow BPW and issues that are important. We receive a lot of support from the local radio, and as you can tell, we also get very good support from our local cable television company.
Mrs. Walbert, can you give us some history as to the various projects that the organization has had over the years and successes or failures, etc.?
The first year, I think we were surprisingly more ready to involve ourselves in projects than we might have been. Our first major project was a beautification project, and we planted 6,000 seedlings of pine, dogwood, honeysuckle out the North Jackson Highway. And then because the Chamber of Commerce was so involved with us, we began to develop for them the community development scrapbook, and we entered Chamber of Commerce, State Chamber of Commerce competition with those scrapbooks. And the first one that we did, we won first place and won $1,000. In 1956-57 and along there, $1,000 was a lot of club money. The next year, we did the scrapbook and won second place. And in the first 5 years, we won 2 second places, and that was $750. Because that we involved ourselves so much with the Chamber and with the community development, our club received the Distinguished Service Award from the American Legion Post in about the 4th year of our club's activity. One year we placed 4th, and we justified that by saying that the folks just wouldn't allow us to carry off all the money in the state. We thought that book was just as good as any of the rest of them. Because of our projects and programs involving all of the people, we learned to work together well. We learned each other. We learned the strengths of the members of the club. And then we came upon a year where our membership, already large, was increased 20%. One year in the last year of the 50s decade, we contributed funds to build a chapel at Western State Hospital. We received an outstanding service award because we contributed almost $1,000 to the Heart Fund drive. We won $1,000 again that year, so we must have felt that we were pretty rich. Our membership increased that year by 10%. Then, because we had so much money and were doing so well, we gave $2,000. Those people who have been here a long time remember that we had a swimming pool drive back in the, I guess, 60, 61, 62. We gave $2,000 to the swimming pool fund. And then we began what was quite a large local project for us, equipping a small chapel at the Sampson Hospital. In 1961, our membership grew to 130, I guess almost 100 more than we have now. We received a merit award there because we contributed to the tuberculosis hospital, and we received an outstanding merit award for that. We did so well in contributing money and time to the Dr. Minnie Maffitt Chinese Nursing Home Building Fund that they allowed or appointed or permitted Mary Ida Bewley, who was one of our members at the time, to escort the national president to the stage at the National BPW Convention in Los Angeles. I think that we have not missed having representatives, more than one, to each national convention since we've been organized.
Are you permitted delegates?
Yes, we are.
And then, of course, anybody other than a delegate can go.
That's right.
Do you pay the expenses of your delegate, or does the delegate has to come up with his own finance, his or her own finances?
We have paid the major portion of their expenses for a long time.
Go ahead with your projects. They're interesting, and I'm satisfied that the younger generation, I remember some of these projects that you're talking about and how well they went, but the younger generation's not familiar with them, and then there's some that in my age bracket that have a tendency to forget, and some of them I've forgotten about. But
well, I think we were rather generous with our contributions. In the early 60s, we dedicated the Memorial Chapel out at the T.J. Sampson Hospital. We'd been working on that for 2 years, and $1,700 was contributed by individual members, just contributions, to the Liberty Mutual Clubhouse when we were getting that underway, and then we added $1,000 from our club savings that year to the Mitchell Clubhouse. We donated some money, I think about $100, to some flood victims who were members of the Business and Professional Women's Club up in eastern Kentucky when they had a flood up there. And we sent a large package, large boxes of textbooks to a college in the Virgin Islands. Still in the 60s, we gave another $1,000 to the clubhouse. We chartered the younger Glasgow Business and Professional Women's Club along about that time. Later, that name was changed in honor of one of their members to her name, Kay Bledsaw. We, for a couple years there, manned the cerebral palsy telethon and stayed at the Farmers Rural Electric offices for 19 or 20 hours, taking contributions for them. In '65, we were 10 years old. That seemed like a good time to celebrate a birthday. We did that by taking over the county government for a day. And each of us performed, you remember, as various officials. 4 of us went to Frankfurt that year to be the guests of the State Police Academy as part of their visitation program. We began our, I believe we began our outstanding BPW member of achievement, or woman of achievement, or woman of the year, or recognizing one of our women at that time. Our club promoted the unified organization of a program in the 60s to honor Dr. Weldon. We participated in the dedication of the new courthouse, which was an exciting venture. One of our members, Ladine Hamilton coordinated the women's activities of that group. And then we began in the late 60s a scholarship. One of our members died, and we gave a Mildred Stoll scholarship, $500 a year for 4 years. We had a young lady who knew and liked Business and Professional Women's Club, and who had almost promised from childhood to become a member. We were so anxious to promote her that she won the scholarship. We went to the mansion. You know, we had access to the governor's mansion in those days, and Beulah Nunn entertained us for luncheon there. And a month or so later, Governor Nunn visited our club, and we gave him an Outstanding Citizen Award. Well, in 1967 or 68, we reached a membership of 150 members, and that was the largest club in the state. We worked with remodeling and refurnishing the terminal at the municipal airport. That was one of the things that we had a lot of fun with. We, in the early, I guess at the turn of the 60s, 69, 70, we presented Beulah Nunn with a check for $500 toward the preservation of the Mary Todd Lincoln home in Lexington. She came and talked to us about that, and you know, when she talks to you about raising money, she can be pretty persuasive. I'm surprised that we only gave her $500 that day. We wanted to know what people thought of us back in the early 70s, and we asked the people to contribute to the Echo, which is our paper. We asked them to talk to us about concerns of the day: ERA, drug abuse, freedom, legalized abortion, civic improvement, crime prevention, anything that was of interest to them. We asked them to talk to us about, and we had some nice responses. We've worked with other clubs and organizations too over the years, and one year in the 70s we worked with the Shriners. We handled their concession stand at a tractor pull, and the proceeds of all of the money that we made at that time went to the Corsair Hospital. We recognize that whatever we do, we stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before us, and every now and then we recognize some of those people, and we paid tribute to Irvin Houchins. I don't know how we maneuvered ourselves into this position, but we were the first group to tour the new Eaton Axle plant. That was exciting for us. We moved into up 73, 74, and again our club was recognized as the largest in the state. We spent some money on a pediatric mist tent at the T.J. Sampson Hospital, and one of the most exciting, I guess the one where we worked the hardest and worked together the best was when we coordinated the bicentennial plans for Kentucky's 200th birthday. This was probably the beginning of Glasgow's focus on history in our area as it is today. The Chamber talked to the clubs in Glasgow and Barron County and asked for people to spearhead that event, and BPW never seems to have to be asked twice. So Sarah Bauer, Emma Bobby, Mildred Albany, Lou Reed Elmore, and I became the beginning committee that worked that through almost to the end, and then we drew in other members from other places. We had a monumental project in the mid-70s, monumental for the day, when we had spearheaded a community drive to contribute $7,000 to the purchase of a heart machine for the hospital. We gave $1,000 the next year to the T.J. Sampson Hospital for a fetal monitoring system, and we gave $100 toward the Jaws of Life when it was coming into being. We contributed to sports and to the Olympics in 1976 when we gave money to Lois Lynn Holmes, who was qualifying for the women's handball squad. We made substantial contributions to the junior achievement. We sent contributions again to a flood in Harlan, where 4 of our members had lost their homes. We have had 2 very, very energetic fundraisers, and one was when we participated in a statewide drive to raise $100,000 for the Gordon Brown and the Ephraim McDowell Cancer Research Center in Louisville. The first year we contributed $4,258 toward that goal, and over a period of 3 years, our one club contributed 1/10 of the state goal. We contributed $10,000 over a period of 3 years. We planted a white dogwood on the lawn of the courthouse. We joined in with the K. Bledsoe Club and the Garden Club and did some landscaping and some planting of flowers at Barren River Lodge. It's extremely difficult to remember every project and program over a period of 37 years, but I guess
give you a slight rest and come back in a minute, because I want to know from Amona how you raise all this money.
Well, some of us are hard to resist when we go knocking on doors and asking for money. We've always been very successful in making contacts with the community, and I think the key to that is that our women are all involved in the community. It's not the first time you see us when we come and say we want to raise money. I know Golda will share with you in a minute about the project to raise the money for the WKU Library, probably the most ambitious project we've ever undertaken. But usually when we set a goal, we manage to go and get it done, because we don't like not to get it done. After all, our founding mothers were the ladies who, the War Work Council in 1918, when World War I ended, said, well, thank you, ladies, but the war is over, and we've discovered we don't need you to go into the workforce and take over the jobs of the men. They're coming home to take those jobs back. And the lady says, well, we thank you very much, and we think we have things to do, and we went on to get busy with those things.
I don't recall any projects such as pancake fries or anything like that you all had. Do you have projects like that from time to time?
We have an annual bean soup day, usually held in October, and you do recall, because you've been there. You've just forgotten for a moment
I do recall that now.
That's been one of our big fundraisers yearly, and I think the Bean Soup Day originated when we started the drive for the monies for the Cancer Research Center in the early 80s. And we've kept that up through the years as a good source to make a quick $1,000 or $2,000. But other projects that we've been involved in, we've had to do much more than just cook bean soup.
Now, getting back again, you pointed out in the beginning that it is a non-discriminatory organization. Do you have any men members?
Our local organization does not, although we'd be delighted to do so. Our state organization does, the national organization does, but the local organization has not been able to lure anyone away from the Rotary and the Kiwanis and the other organizations.
I don't suppose there is any rule against rating another organization or getting a member from another organization. For instance,
no, there is not, and we don't have a classification system like Rotary has, or a limit on the number of members that can be in a certain profession.
For instance, a Rotary Club can't take a member or somebody that's a member of your organization. That's been a rule of Rotary to help in the beginning. I don't know as it serves that purpose now, but in the beginning to help protect ratings of organizations.
We don't have any restrictions on double membership, so those people who participate in Rotary or Kiwanis or any of the other civic organizations could also belong to BPW.
Now I believe you've had a chance to catch your breath, Golda. We'll come back to some more projects. And Melanie, we're going to get to you yet. Don't feel neglected here.
I guess probably the most exciting thing that we became involved with was the library at the WKU Glasgow campus. We were, I hadn't been to BPW for a month or two. I had some reason to be out of town and just got back, and I guess because I thought I'd better say something to attract attention to me. So I suggested that we raise money for the library to bring Western's Glasgow campus up to the qualifications that were necessary. And I suggested that we raise $100,000. That's a lot of money in any economy. The motion was seconded immediately, and then you know what happens when you talk. You've already drawn attention to yourself, and I was immediately appointed chairman to raise the money. We raised $100,000 in a bit over the year that we set about to do it with, and I guess that we can see the results of that, first of all because it was recently, and then because it is so obvious. When we raised our $100,000, Western spent the money for us, and that was all right. We intended for them to. They spent a portion of it to set up what librarians across the state have called a state-of-the-art library. And they've kept some of the money so that we would make sure to perpetuate the library as time went on. We didn't want to set up a nice library and then not have any money for the next year or the year after that. People in eastern Kentucky have asked to borrow our scrapbook, which Mona so very carefully kept for us over that year. They've asked to borrow it. They've asked for us to talk. We sent some slides, and other people are using our techniques in raising money for a university library. We had not so much money-raising events, which we did have, but we were able to go to people, to businesses in the city and county, and ask them to join us, and they contributed funds. $100,000 is a lot of money to earn. It's an awful lot of money to ask for.
I don't think anyone would question that, but the organization was successful. I realize that. I don't quite understand about the money in reserve. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more? You said of the $100,000, there was some of it that was being kept in reserve.
Yes, I can. I've had to answer that question a lot. First of all, I've had to talk about a library without many books. This is a library with computers and lots of equipment, and we don't have shelves upon shelves of books. But the thing that I want to talk about with relation to spending the first $40,000, first year, we knew some things that had to be there. So we
and
spent,
you're talking about here, not in Bowling Green.
No. This will never have anything to do with Bowling Green.
Well, but there's some confusion out there about that.
Yes, I think there still is.
So I'm giving you the opportunity now to explain that.
Our money is in a separate fund. It's not in the general fund. It's in a WKUG library fund. We spent $40,000 to begin the library. We put the $60,000 plus on interest. Now, every year we take the interest, and I must admit right now we aren't taking very much, but every year we take the interest and buy new equipment, new materials, new books, whatever is necessary for the library, with the exception of salaries. We don't spend any money for salaries. If I understand, and I think I do, there will always, as long as there is a campus in Glasgow, as long as there is a library on that campus, our money will be making money and feeding it back into the library. Our money cannot be spent for anything on the Glasgow campus but the library, and it cannot be spent on the Bowling Green campus for anything.
I think it's well that you explained that, because, as I say, there is a perception out there among some people that the money was used instead of for a library here, but to improve the library and help in Bowling Green to furnish materials here. And I knew better, but I thought it'd be well for you to explain that.
Well, you're right. There are those that don't, and we have equipment on the Glasgow campus that they do not have at Western, and some of the students who are attending the university in Bowling Green call up here and pull out of our computers material that they need to use. And we have an interaction between, and I don't understand the complications of the material, but we have an interaction between the two libraries, and we can send material down there over the wire and they can send it back to us.
I understand that also includes the local Mary Weldon Library, the interaction among the three.
That's right.
That's what I understood, and that your $100,000 helped to establish that also.
That interaction.
Now, Melanie, what projects do you have going now?
Well, BPW is a builder of women, and along this line we have at least 3 programs that we use to build women in the community and give them an avenue to enhance their skills in the job market, their skills at communication, and we also are particularly interested in developing young women for the future. Tomorrow will be the graduation day and the end of the pilot program for Choices. The Choices program focuses on the development of positive values, confidence, and self-esteem in young women, and it also encourages them to explore their options with regards to the careers that they want to hold and also the quality of life that they hope for. We've been working with 14 girls at Barron County High School over the last 12 weeks, and the 12 weeks has passed rapidly. We've had lessons that focus on decision making, how to set goals, how you determine your values, where you get your attitudes from. My favorite lesson as a CPA was the one I taught, and that involves setting up your budget. And the most interesting thing about developing your budget is that once you figured out how much money you wanted to have to live on, we would translate that into the amount of money you would have to earn in order to have those funds available. And that's an eye-opening experience for anybody. But I think it's particularly eye-opening when you haven't thought about how much rent, car payments, and insurance are likely to be. So we're very excited about this program. Several BPW members have come and assisted by teaching a lesson, and Georgia Beth Albany played a major role in assisting me as being a mini steering committee. Either Georgia Beth or myself has been at each of the meetings, and so we've had some time to get to know the young ladies, and we feel that this has been a very successful project, and we're very excited about it. We would also like to recognize the fact that Barron County High School has been very supportive of this, and the principal, Glenn Flanders, and the 2 counselors, Miss Ritter and Miss Lindsay, have been very helpful in many ways.
Do you intend to repeat that project?
I anticipate that we will repeat it. At this point, I know we will look for ways to improve. We might want to consider another avenue, perhaps summer school. We would also consider, another school location. This was our pilot. We feel it's been a good learning experience, and now we want to draw on that and determine where we go from here with the program. But it will definitely continue.
Do you have any other ongoing projects?
One ongoing project that we have happens every year in February, and it's the Young Careerist program. Young Careerist does involve a committee for Glasgow BPW, and every February we go through a program which recognizes an outstanding young career woman I think the ages of the participant would be probably from about 21 to 35 years of age. And that's what distinguishes the Young Careerist program from a Woman of the Year program or Woman of Achievement. We're looking for young women who are early on in their careers and are probably still very involved in expanding their education. This program focuses on public speaking, whereby every candidate has to give a 3-minute presentation in front of the club. And one topic, an example topic might be, how can BPW best fulfill the needs of working women? And you have 3 minutes to address this topic. You're judged on your oral presentation as well as a written application, and the written application focuses on your work accomplishments, your educational background, and also requires you to write short essays on issues that you feel are important to women and why they're important to you. In addition to this, you also have a personal interview with a judging committee, and this allows the judges to see you, expand on your application and talk about the things that are important and to get a better feel for what the candidate has accomplished. So every February we have this competition. We would love to have any young career woman come and participate with us. And this is always a good meeting every year for us, and we're always looking forward to seeing who's going to come out and participate.
So there's no limitation on participants. They can be from
That's correct.
outside of this geographic area, I suppose, and by geographic I mean countywide, or even could they, for instance, could they come from Bowling Green?
I think that's an excellent question, and right off the top of my head, I'm not sure that we do have a geographical limitation. Traditionally, we have always drawn candidates from our area, and because there are BPW clubs scattered throughout the state of Kentucky, typically you could choose to participate in your hometown, but I don't think there is a specific residency requirement. Also, on the local level, to participate in the program does not require that you are a member of BPW. As you go up the ladder, there does become a requirement, I believe, when you go to state level, that you do be a BPW member. But we have found for a lot of young women, this is a good way to learn about the organization and the benefits of membership, and many people do choose to join after participating in this program.
One of the major topics in the country now, and particularly in my field of the law, is this matter of harassment of various types and so forth. Do you have any programs about that?
Last year we had a meeting, I believe it was in probably September, that focused on sexual harassment in the workplace. And a local attorney, Betty Herbert, came and presented that program for us. And so that was worked into a regular monthly meeting.
The next question. As a result of that meeting and that program, was there anybody that claimed or came forward and said they had been sexually harassed here in this community?
I don't believe that any kind of specific charges were ever brought forth, but I think our membership received a good education on what sexual harassment might be, and I think there was some agreement that probably many of us had faced situations that might be considered a minor form of sexual harassment. But this was primarily an educational experience in which we learned how to cope with things that we might be faced with in the workplace, rather than somebody saying, I think I need to go see a lawyer on this one.
Well, one reason I asked the question, I was watching, I either read this or was watching some program, and I've reached the stage where I don't remember where I get my information, whether it's from the which part of the news media or something that I read in monthly magazines. But anyhow, the statement was made in that in a survey of women, and they didn't give any age group, that a third to 40% of them said that they had been sexually harassed on the job. And I find that hard to believe. Either one of the three of you dare to comment on that one?
I don't find it hard to believe at all, Uhel. I think that probably that figure is fairly true. Now, I think probably those incidents range from anything from the inappropriate telling of a dirty joke to actual physical contact in some way. I know one of the things that I was really surprised at when I went to college was the things that didn't happen at Glasgow High School, or at least they didn't happen to me at Glasgow High School, and that was just the number of innuendos and things that you would hear in cafeterias or as you pass by. Of course, being an attorney, the legal issues of sexual harassment depend on whether or not you're put in a situation that forces you to in some way do something that's against your wishes and is done by someone who has some kind of authority over you. They're your employer or they have a supervisory capacity. But I'm not surprised at that number for incidents to occur.
On the job?
On the job.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Walbert, you care to comment? You're very silent here.
I think sometimes it's difficult to tell whether you are being involved in sexual harassment or whether something that is just natural with people is happening. It seems that that telling an off-color joke is something that that ladies and gentlemen don't do, but it's something that both men and women do in the presence of each other. I think that many times we might have been involved in something like that and really didn't know or didn't realize that it was sexual harassment.
Do you have any programs involving drugs?
We have had programs over the last couple of years that focused on women's health, and we've looked at issues such as stress management and other health-related topics. In my frame of history, which really is quite short compared to the two ladies I'm with, in the last 3 years, I don't think that we have had a specific substance abuse program. But within the realm of women's health, we also encourage our members to go to other types of programs that might be available in the community, be they sponsored by the hospital or anybody else, that could give them information on this topic. But right now, I can't say that we've had a specific program in the last couple of years.
Mona and I are involved in on a committee with others in developing a business and professional women's club history. And I think just last week I noticed that back in the mid-'60s we had programs on drug abuse. We didn't consider it. It wasn't as noticeable a problem then as it is now, and we were probably just alerting people to the fact that there was such a thing.
I have seen reports that there are more young women, teenagers, than teenage males that were taking up cigarettes, smoking these days. Do you all have any programs about that would be an outreach to the younger women, particularly in the schools, about that?
Well, when you look at the Choices program and the interaction that we have with the group of high school students we work with, while cigarette smoking is not perhaps a major focus, the development of values and attitudes are something that we do work on. And it would stress to these young ladies whether or not cigarette smoking as a habit is something they would want to do.
There are more and more women getting into the law and also medicine. And particularly the law field is getting overcrowded. I mean, both from the standpoint, I'm not talking about being overcrowded because of the ladies that are getting in it. I'm just talking about you've got more and more lawyers and fewer and fewer opportunities, despite the fact that we supposedly have a society that likes to litigate. But, for instance, there are more need, as I understand it, there are more needs for nurses and things of that nature. Does the B&PW, not necessarily locally, but nationally or regionally and so forth, emphasize to your membership and perhaps their offsprings and so forth, these other fields of opportunity for women?
We do. Of course, in the early days, one of the areas that we worked on was trying to get women into upper echelon positions and into higher paying positions, and that meant that there was a lot of push for areas such as law and engineering and medicine, particularly in the area of physicians, to get into higher areas. One of the things that we work very hard on is an issue called pay equity. This is not one that we have achieved, but it's one that we've made some progress on. There is an assumption on the part of business women throughout the United States that many traditionally female jobs are undervalued in the marketplace. And you mentioned nursing as an example of a profession that's been dominated by females. Teaching is another. Certainly clerical and secretarial work is a third. And they are traditionally lower paying jobs. Women climbing the career ladder are looking for higher paying jobs. So what we have to do now is to value jobs at what they're worth and at not what they're titled.
Do you care to elaborate a little more?
Well,
I think I'm following you, but I don't think you're being too specific.
Well, one of the things we're real pleased with across the United States right now, BPW had supported for a long time, is a thing called the Family and Medical Leave Act. Women bear the children in the nation and are frequently the caregivers for other family members when they are ill. And for a long time we have worked for the Family and Medical Leave Act, which is now coming into reality. Basically what it says is that an employee in a company with at least 50 employees or more, whether it be a male or female, can take up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave to care for a family member. Now, this relates very, very specifically to what BPW is about, because traditionally women have had to take off time, first of all, to bear the children, care for the children and the elderly relatives, and due to the loss of that time, frequently lost jobs. So BPW's focus and many other organizations was on helping families not face that situation.
Well, apparently somebody's been very successful about that, because you already have a national law.
Just recently, and it took a long time to get there.
On that very subject. What program, if any, do you have to take care of these children and nurture these children once the family leave is over?
Well, we, meaning BPW, don't have a program
Should you have
for
one?
that.
Is there a
Should
need?
the organization have one, or
Yes,
should the nation have
well,
one?
both. Both.
I think as a nation we have to become more concerned about the care of our children. Whether or not it comes through an organization such as BPW, this is more of a collective type of thing that we have to be concerned with. We need some type of system in this nation to care for children. They are the future, and we have to do something to provide for them.
Some effort is being made in Kentucky to place that burden on the schools. As you are well aware, and as Mrs. Walbert, I'm sure, is well aware, and is that the proper place or for something like that? or should there be another organization? In other words, haven't the schools got enough to worry about now without nurturing preschool children?
Well, schools probably have enough to do, but if they're going to be somewhere, they're probably better off with us in the school system than they are as latchkey children on the streets. I don't think that's a final solution to the problem. I don't think the schools can solve that family issue.
I think that'd be a good project for the national B&PW, as well as some others. But that to me is an issue that certainly needs addressing, not only by your organization, but a lot of other civic organizations. And I think it's a matter that the government can't solve. And in some respects, the churches have abandoned it. I know I can hear some criticism about that, but it used to be that churches did more along that line than I think they do now. And there's an attitude out there, if you've got a problem, it seems, such as that, turn it over to the government and let the government solve it, and the government can't solve all problems. That's why I was asking about whether your organization had any projects along those lines. And I don't know of, and I may be in ignorance here, but I don't know of any local organization, civic organization, that has such a project.
I'm not aware of any, but you may have just given us a new plank for the national platform and for our local group to look at. Dependent care is an area that we study both locally and nationally, and it is a very critical area. It deals not just with children, but with care of the elderly now is becoming a very serious situation throughout the United States. So that's something we can take back to our local group as a consideration for the future.
What are the future plans, Melanie? Not necessarily this year. What's the future plans for your organization?
I think you're going to see Glasgow BPW expand its focus on helping build the skills of working women. You know, throughout our history, we have utilized programs such as the Individual Development Program to help women develop their career skills and to develop their communication effectiveness. And this has been done approximately 3 times in the last 8 or 9 years that this program's been held. So I think you can look for the Individual Development Program to be with us in the future. As we said before, we think Choices is going to remain with us as an ongoing project. We need to build on the programs that we have and look forward to dealing with the issues such as perhaps affordable daycare and pay equity, and also responding to the needs that our membership expresses that they want dealt with locally.
Quickly, how does the size of your club compare with the size of your sister club?
At approximately 60 members, we are at the high end of the medium range. There are about 2 or 3 clubs in the state of Kentucky that have between 60 to 70 members, and most other organizations have less than 60 members.
I want to take time now to thank each one of you fine ladies for appearing here. I think it's been an informative program. I think that the community has been well served by your organization and will continue to be. And I would remind the audience out there that the 3rd Monday in December we will have a program consisting of 3 high school students who will be talking about their problems and their reaction to the present culture and what their goals and aspirations are. Again, thanks for joining us.